Thank you for joining me here this afternoon. The time is now 3:32 p.m. Central, and you have a live look at the beginning of a severe weather and potentially even a tornado outbreak. Right now, we have a massive MCS event occurring across portions of northeastern Wyoming and southeastern Montana, moving into portions of western South Dakota as we speak. Now, this line of storms is going to bring the potential for damaging winds up to 80 miles per hour through the Rapid City metro. So, if you're included in this brand new severe thunderstorm watch that we have, we need you to look out, alright? We are talking about some serious threats with this line of storm. It has already had a potential 70 mile an hour gust report a little bit further to the west. In fact, several of them, alright? We've had reports of 60 to 70 mile an hour winds across a large swath here, it looks like, in portions of Wyoming from this line, and it's continuing to intensify. So Newcastle right now getting slammed with damaging winds likely up to 70 miles an hour and hail up to quarter size. The same thing is likely happening near Sundance. So if you're in either of these severe thunderstorm warnings, we need you to move indoors and away from windows immediately. We do also have a severe thunderstorm warning back into portions of Minnesota for the Benson Swift Falls area, but this is just for a little isolated supercell, nothing too crazy. However, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch in effect for this region as well, so we'll continue to watch that. Today, again, we are expecting a massive severe weather outbreak to occur across portions of the upper western Midwest, stretching from Nebraska back into South Dakota. Portions of Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin are all under the gun. As you can see, we've got a whole team of storm chasers out here today. We have got storm chasers Brandon Kopic, we have got Corey Gherkin, Vince Welty, we have got Connor Croft, we have got the whole crew out there today. Ryan Scholl and Freddie McKinney are also chasing, and a ton more as well are chasing right now that are just not shown here on the Radar Omega app. So we're going to go ahead and zoom back in here on our line of storms. It is causing some power outages here, it looks like, in northeastern Wyoming. This honestly could turn into a derecho line of storms. We cannot completely rule it out. Right now, we're just calling it an MCS/bow echo, but it would not surprise me if this did end up being a derecho. It has a very favorable track here across portions of South Dakota with severe weather primed ingredients, alright? So we can see that the surface-based cape right now, if we go ahead and skip this out to around 4 o'clock, which is around right now, at the time of streaming, we can see that we do have a little bit of cape out here, but it is going to become a much, again, a greater amount further off to the east where these storms will eventually be. And again, that's going to lead to the potential for some destructive wind gusts, some very large hail, potentially up to large apple size, and even a couple of tornadoes with maybe even an isolated strong tornado in southeastern South Dakota. However, I do think that that strong tornado thing would be a more conditional threat, but I definitely do think that we are going to see a couple of brief tornadoes no matter what. We have an absolutely insanely primed environment here for severe weather, especially across South Dakota today. So we have got ourselves a lot of stuff to watch, and I hope that you'll be here joining me for the ride. I don't know why it's keeping the cape map up whenever I have that turned off, but it is. Okay, there we go. We fixed it. So let's go ahead and zoom back here on our line of storms. I'm going to go ahead and bring up stream chat, so if anybody has any questions about their location, feel free to ask those down below in the chat. I'll try to answer them accurately and honestly, because we have a very big, very long day ahead of us with this severe weather event, right? Now, we have not had any tornado warnings yet today, but that is likely to start changing very soon, I do think. What's up, everybody? Mr. Storm, Super Zone, Tornado Nerd, Max Velocity, Kevin Joyce, and Southern Velocity. What's up, everybody? Yeah, again, I do think that the strong tornado threat would be a bit more conditional. In fact, if anything, the tornado threat looks a little bit lower than it did yesterday. But we cannot completely rule one out, in my opinion. Again, I think it's a low chance overall, but I do want to just say strong tornadoes possible, just in the rare occurrence that we do get a strong tornado. I'd say it's probably a 2% chance or so. Yeah, and the model shift here from, supercells to a line of storms, again, that will be more conducive for damaging winds than anything else, but I wouldn't rule out a couple of QLCS tornadoes. So anyway, and we have not had any tornado warnings yet today. That could actually change, though, within the next couple of hours, especially with some of these cells out here in Minnesota. I think that one or two of these could sneakily go tornadic here, so we'd have to watch out for that. And again, this little cell here in Nebraska looks to be trying to develop. Looks like it's taking advantage of a boundary, so we may see that go on to produce some large hail and damaging winds. But as we can see, the primary threats for today include scattered damaging winds and isolated significant gusts to 80 miles per hour likely, scattered large hail and isolated very large hail events to tennis ball size and diameter likely, and a tornado or two possible. Alright, I do think that we will probably see a tornado watch later into this evening. What's up, Alan? I do think that we'll see a tornado watch later into this evening in portions of southeastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota, as that's kind of, again, the prime area for severe weather, it looks like today. And by the way, we kind of have a secondary severe weather outbreak ongoing here in New England. We've had some very large hailstones today out in this region. We also did have a lightning strike that ended up causing a fire, a structural fire. We're also seeing some significant flash flooding out there, mainly in Connecticut and Massachusetts, as well as Rhode Island and eastern Long Island. So, let's see here. Again, I actually do think that this line of storms could be a pretty big deal here. I would not be surprised to see at least a low-end derecho out of this, if I'm being entirely honest. It's looking pretty concerning, I'm going to be honest. It's really kind of intensified over the last several minutes here. An absolutely massive line stretching across the entirety of northeastern Wyoming. Yeah, again, the strong tornado threat will be conditional, but again, I do think no matter what, we're going to see a brief tornado or two, especially in southeastern South Dakota. In the newest SPC update, they did keep the 5% tornado risk, the 30% hatched wind risk, and the 30% hatched hail risk across portions of the upper western Midwest. Again, this is the corridor today where we are watching for tornadoes, mainly across southeastern South Dakota, southwestern Minnesota, and northwestern Iowa. Here we cannot rule out a brief tornado, as well as in northeastern Nebraska. And by the way, we have a huge amount of people today under the risk for severe weather because we have just such a massive risk out here in the Midwest, and then also a big-time risk in the Northeast, obviously, and that's a populated region. We have, like, 75 million, almost, people facing at least a marginal threat of severe weather, which is a crap ton, obviously. So, again, we got a lot of areas to cover, and we're going to be trying to cover it all as it happens here. But anyway. If we take a look at NATOcast, let's go and pull this up here. I've not looked at the outlook yet for today. Okay, so NATOcast actually has a very, very interesting outlook. They're keeping it at a 3% risk instead of a 5%, and they're saying that the main areas to watch would be southwestern South Dakota and east central Minnesota, a bullseye on the Twin Cities region, which is interesting. So overall, painting a little bit lower of a tornado threat, but a little bit bigger of an area, actually, where we may have to watch out for some tornadoes. And I think the main reason they have that 3% in southwestern South Dakota is just because of this line of storms here. And again, this is mainly going to bring a damaging wind threat to South Dakota, but also a couple of tornadoes can definitely not be ruled out with this. Alright, so we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning now. What in the world? Okay, so severe thunderstorm warning for golf ball-sized hail for New Shoreham. I don't know if this is Rhode Island in southern Washington County, this little island out here. So if you're in that area, make sure you are moving indoors and away from windows immediately. And another new severe thunderstorm warning now, going out for our line here in South Dakota. Now this area of the line being downgraded to 60-mile-an-hour winds, and another severe thunderstorm warning going out southeast of Ainsworth, Nebraska. Did I just hear another one? What is happening? I did! Eastern New Jersey. Severe thunderstorm warning going out for Stafford Township for the threat of 60-mile-an-hour winds and some nickel-sized hail southwest of Toms River. And yes, I am aware that yesterday I said I don't think that we'll see a derecho. I saw that little snarky comment, Kevin. But you know what? The forecast details did change quite a bit. Again, we are talking about a line of storms now rather than discrete supercells. So, again, I'm actually pretty concerned about this little cell popping up here in Nebraska. It really is. This New England severe weather event is really overperformed, in my opinion. We've had some lime-sized hail. Doesn't look like the damaging winds have been anything crazy, though. But again, this storm... Okay, so they actually just upgraded this storm to lime-sized hail. They literally just issued this warning like a minute ago. It wasn't always lime-sized hail, but now it is. Rotation of east of Newcastle, South Dakota. Let's check that out. That's in Wyoming, by the way. Newcastle is... See, I don't think that's rotation. I think that's contamination. Yeah. Yeah, I'd almost watch this supercell more than anything else right now for a tornado threat. This storm has popped up really fast. It interacted with that boundary properly. If it goes for long enough, though, it would get swallowed by our line of storms, obviously. But we're talking hours out of that happening. Mr. Storm, have you ever seen a severe thunderstorm warning for this little island here? This is your territory. Maybe even a little bit of rotation with this. It's got like a look echo. You haven't? I definitely have not either. So we're seeing a little bit of an uptick, it looks like, in the lightning production with this storm here, which is usually a sign of some intensification. Yeah, they really do. They really do not get storms out there. Can you check echo tops? How high are these things booming? Sure. Let's start with our line here. So the echo tops with the line look to be around 45,000 feet at the peak. And then the storm near Ainsworth looks to be... This is a tall boy. This is about 52,000 feet with its tops. And then... Let's check out our Minnesota severe warn storm. Give me just a second here. The Minnesota warn storm is, wow, it's pretty tall as well. That is really tall. 58,000 feet. And then going to our storms in New England, the tallest one probably being this one, yeah. About 45,000 feet, so... Some pretty tall storms overall today. So if we go back out here to South Dakota again, big line of storms right now entering the state. I'm watching this supercell in Nebraska. I do think that this could start to rotate. I mean, it just popped up so fast. It's going to be heading towards Bassett. So if you're in Bassett or Newport, make sure you're getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Ping pong ball-sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour damaging wind gusts could be associated with that storm. And we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Hot Springs in South Dakota. It's an extension here. Now, this part of the line is warned for quarter-sized hail and 70-mile-an-hour winds. Not an extension, but it's for the line, I should say. So Edgemont, get ready for some wind. Hot Springs, make sure you're getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Yeah, but that's one of the reasons, though, that I do think that this storm could go crazy, because if you think about it, I mean, discrete supercell, it has got how much cape out here? I mean, a decent amount, you know. It's got some wind shear as well, for sure, to work with. I do think that this cell could go on to produce some damaging winds and large hail, for sure. Yeah, we're talking like 40 knots of wind shear. That's not bad at all. Again, this is not a super duper prime environment for tornadic production, but I wouldn't rule one out, honestly. I mean, it really does look like it could do something. Again, if there were to be a cell to produce a tornado right now, I'd honestly put my money on this one. Now, I don't think it's going to produce a tornado for at least 5 or 10 more minutes, but it's starting to organize, it looks like, with the rotation. What is that profile picture? Wow. So we now have a recording of a 70-mile-an-hour wind gust north of Edgemont, or sorry, west of Edgemont, South Dakota. So again, this line is getting stronger by the second. That's the highest wind gust recording we have so far. No, not currently, but again, I'm saying it could definitely develop. And it's entering a decently favorable environment, you know? The further north it goes, the better chance it's going to have. The significant tornado parameters out here in this area, they are there. They're getting close to 1. Which, by the way, that's another thing we can go ahead and talk about, the STD. It looks like we can only go out to around 7 p.m. with the newest run of the ARRR. It's not done loading, but we do see a little splotch of near 2.5 near Springfield, South Dakota. And again, that's just, don't just assume that's exactly where that's going to be. Alright, that could be literally anywhere in this big circle. But that's kind of the general area where we'd be watching there, it looks like. Let's look at the last run of the ARRR, actually. Let's look at the 18Z. So the 18Z here, okay, looks like it's painting kind of a similar picture. It looks like things really could get going in southwestern Minnesota at around 9. I mean, that is a decently high STP value, 2.6. So, that's something. And then that's going to kind of shift further east, and then again, we're watching a tornado for tomorrow. What am I talking about? We're watching for a tornado threat tomorrow. What is this? Well, what is this, chat? Huh? Actually, though, tomorrow's tornado threat doesn't look incredibly high. It does look like we could see a tornado tomorrow, though, across portions of northern Michigan and northern Wisconsin. Although the severe threat in general actually could push a little further south than that. Really, the Great Lakes region in its entirety needs to look out tomorrow. And then going into Wednesday, we've got a big-time severe weather risk from the SPC. We've got a massive slight risk going out for portions of, what would you call this? I guess the Great Lakes region, and then also a slight risk going out for parts of the Dakotas. Yeah, it really is. Again, the boundary definitely helped this storm. It looks like Storm Chaser Connor Croft's even going for this. So this severe thunderstorm warning here has been downgraded to 60-mile-an-hour winds. The only one that we have left that's warned for 70 is the area where a 70-mile-an-hour gust was confirmed. Yeah, you've changed your profile picture like 50 times in the past 24 hours, probably. So again, if you're just now tuning in, we are watching the beginning of the potential Derecho in western South Dakota right now. This is going to push very far eastward here, producing destructive winds across its entire swath. So, if you know anybody in this area, make sure to send them this stream, because we're going to be live here for a while covering this. Again, mainly watching the upper western Midwest today. And when I say upper western Midwest, I mean Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Iowa for the most part. Again, with a hyper-focused area on southeastern South Dakota and southwestern Minnesota for maybe an enhanced tornado threat. So this supercell trying to further develop here near Bassett, Nebraska, again producing some damaging winds and large hail. So if you're in that area, again, make sure you're getting indoors and away from windows immediately. Ping pong ball sized hail and 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts could be associated with that storm there. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't totally rule out the potential of a tornado with this line here in the next several minutes. Not in the next several minutes, sorry. In the next couple of hours. I don't think we're going to see a tornado with this in the next several minutes. Nothing really looks that organized yet. But if something gets going, I mean, it can't completely be ruled out. We got a couple of spots that look like they're trying to rotate here, especially in the southern part of the line, so I'd watch that. If you're in, like, again, the Rapid City suburbs, I guess it doesn't really have suburbs, but the Rapid City metro area and everywhere around there, watch out for that. Yeah, I'd be watching this area near Edgemont here. It does look like it's rotating a little bit, and then I'd also watch this. This is near Hill City. Looks like it's trying to rotate a little bit there. And then a little bit of a hook trying to develop near Pringle as well, yeah. Noticing some convergence southwest of Hill City, South Dakota. Yepity deputy. Yeah, this is a very large line of storms, basically as large as the state of South Dakota here, pushing eastward in terms of its height. So again, I mean, within the next 3 hours, almost everybody in South Dakota is going to see some storms, except maybe in the eastern portion of the state. But you'll have your own storms to deal with, actually, so probably still in that region, if we're being honest. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a bunch of supercells pop up here in this general region. This is where I'd say we'd be doing a blip watch. And yes, I did hear that severe thunderstorm warning. This is where I think we'd have a blip watch for today, and I think this line's going to come in and eat up all these supercells. So if these supercells want to produce a tornado, they'd have to do it between probably now and maybe 5 or 6 p.m., 7 p.m. maybe, 8 at the latest. So that new severe thunderstorm warning now going out for Maryland and Arundel County, south of Baltimore, near Annapolis. Make sure that you are getting indoors immediately. Quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds with that storm. Probably pretty windy right now, seeing some heavy rainfall. Doesn't look like a highly electrified storm, though. The rain shouldn't be the crazy part. It would probably be the wind, maybe the hail. So anyway, yeah, it looks like things are trying to hook out here near Pringle. Again, we may have to watch for a potential tornado here over the next couple of hours. Wow, 12 likes already. Yeah, that's crazy. Thank you guys for the support. If we can get this stream to, say, 30 likes, that would be incredible. Again, that's 30 likes, a very high goal, but I think we can do it since we're going to be here for a while. Rotation on the Nebraska storm. Yeah, it's trying. Like I said, this is definitely going to try to do something over the next couple of hours here. I mean, it just exploded and now it's off to the races. It's actually moving pretty slowly, though. It's kind of ironic that I said that. It's really been stationary here for a while. That Illinois, Chicago, tornadoes and derechos, we hit 40 likes, and that was a 4-hour span. I mean, if you go back to the Hurricane Barrel stream, though, which obviously that was a very, very, very lucky setup of different factors. We don't have anything like that today. Today, it's just whoever finds the stream will see it. But if you go back to that stream, we had a ton of likes, like 150. So yeah, some rotation trying to organize potentially as this moves towards Hill City, South Dakota. We may have our first tornado warning of the day soon, potentially. Oh, I guess it didn't have 150 likes. I guess it was 57. I don't know why I thought it was so much higher. Got your own protractor to measure now. Nice. Again, if you're just now tuning in, make sure to like and subscribe. We're going to be here for a while. Some rotation looks like it's trying to get going near Pringle once again. And once more, I'd be watching this near Edgemont as well. Things are rotating a little bit here, it looks like. These almost look like a bunch of different supercells, honestly. So anyway, how's it going, everybody? Can't believe we've been live for half an hour already. It feels like we literally just started. Again, I don't like the look of this. This near Pringle looks really concerning. Near Twin Sisters, near Custer. I wouldn't rule out seeing a PDS severe in the next hour. No, definitely can't rule that out. It's blown up on satellite? I have not checked. Wow. Okay, so we're going to focus on this now. Rotation trying to get going near Hill City, South Dakota. This storm now has the tornado possible tag on it. So, tornado possible here with this storm near, they're likely warning this for the area of rotation near Hat Mountain and Deerfield, South Dakota. By the way, this storm knocked out a lot of power, it looks like, in the Newcastle area in Wyoming. So again, damaging winds as well. This storm is pretty crazy. How did you call it? You didn't call that. Oh, I guess you did point out the rotation, but yeah. No. Otherwise, for the next 2 weeks, we'd have all of our things called the max velocity invasion stream every time that Sam shows up anyway, which is for the most part every time. Again, I think we could definitely see a tornado with this. If this organizes just a little bit further. No, if you didn't notice, it's Sam posing as Max. Max Velocity is only actually tuned into a stream once. I just want to make that clear. He's only actually ever tuned into one of these streams one time. And that was several days ago, I think. I don't even remember at this point. We go live every day. 2024 is insane, dude. Like, 2023, there was, like, a 3-month period where I wasn't live for all of 2023. I only started at the end of the year, but there was, like, a 3-month period where I wouldn't have had to do anything. even if I was going live all year. Not 3 months, but a good month or so at least. Show you the hail. Okay, so tornado warning now. There we go. Alright, so if you're just now tuning in, tornado warning in South Dakota. This is a tornado warning now going out for portions of west central Pennington County. Seek shelter immediately. Here we go. This is where things start to get a little bit more serious in the stream, so we're probably gonna stop with the jokes and stuff. Because now we've actually got ourselves something to watch. So give me 1 minute here. Okay. So again, tornado warning now going out in South Dakota. You wanted to see the hail? The hail, honestly, with this line isn't anything too crazy. It is further to the south, actually. North of Edgemont, it looks like we've got some big-time hail falling. What's up, Psy? Again, if you're just now tuning in, tornado warning just issued for Pennington County in South Dakota. If you're in this area, we need you to seek shelter immediately. This includes Redfern, Tigerville, and Reno, South Dakota. Seek shelter now. Broad rotation here, but it could definitely produce a tornado if it tightens up a little bit. Right now near the Dakota Mountain. This looked like the most impressive scan to me. This is where I was like, whoa, and now we're kind of on the downward trend, but remember to stay in your safe spot. This is not really max velocity, that's just Sam. So again, that's the rotation right now, right over Green Mountain. Again, that's going to be heading towards Tigerville, Redfern, and Reno over the next several minutes, so we need you to seek shelter immediately in all those locations. Again, I'd be watching Green Mountain in particular right now. If we did have a tornado, I'd say it would be pretty much on Green Mountain. But the rotation looks pretty broad at the moment, so. So again, if you're just not tuning in, make sure to share this stream if you know anybody in South Dakota right now, because we have an urgent, ongoing situation. We have a tornado warning going out for portions of west central Pennington County. This is for Redfern, Tigerville, and Reno. Seek shelter now if you're in this area. Again, we could see an embedded tornado here with this line of storms. Check out the Edgemont storm. Yeah, it looks to be rotating a little bit there still. That actually could get a tornado warning. That is insane. That is ridiculous. They did throw the tornado possible tag on that just now. That is crazy. This is a massive hailstorm. We also got another 70-mile-an-hour gust estimate by a trained spotter. That was around the same time, though, as our original recording of a 70-mile-an-hour gust, so it's not quite as crazy. But again, things are getting pretty serious right now. It's been a while since we've had a tornado warning on stream, but here we go. So, again, I know Pennington County holds a lot of people. It has Rapid City, Box Elder, Hill City, none of those areas right now need to seek shelter. Unless you are in Redfern, Tigerville, or Reno, you are fine. If you're in Redfern, Tigerville, or Reno, you need to get to shelter immediately, though. Now, that's not to say that you're not going to have a tornado threat in Rapid City. That's just saying that you don't have one right now. Again, the storm's going to move your way, so we could see that develop further into that area, so stay tuned into the stream to find out if that's going to happen or not. But right now, Rapid City downtown is fine. It's areas to the southwest of Rapid City we're concerned about, if you're not familiar with this area here. Again, this rotation is really ramping up to near Hot Springs. This should honestly get a tornado warning over Parker Peak. So again, this is a serious situation, everybody. Dude, this area near Pringle as well. We have a lot of areas of rotation developing with this, everybody. I would not rule out a tornado anywhere in this area here. I mean, obviously there's some spots where there's no rotation at all, but I'm just talking about in general. There's several areas of rotation in that region. Again, things really picking up near Parker Peak. But again, the only area where we actually have a tornado warning for right now is the storm over Green Mountain. And that rotation is pretty broad, however, we need you to seek shelter for a precautionary measure. What do you have to lose if you take shelter? You could lose everything if you don't. And again, that's a little dramatic for the situation we have ongoing right now. That's just something I say for every tornado warning, pretty much. That's a good rule of thumb, anyway, for every tornado warning. By the way, Nebraska storm is really popping off right now. Really impressively. Again, damaging winds in Lord Shield with this. It's going to be approaching Highway 20, but right now it's taking a while. Peter Parker? Huh? This is not Spider-Man. Anyway. Again, if you're just not tuning in, we are watching a tornado warning right now in South Dakota. We have a pretty serious situation ongoing right now in western Pennington County. This is moving towards Tigerville very rapidly here. So if you're in this area, again, we need you to seek shelter immediately. We're also seeing damaging winds all throughout the extreme western portion of South Dakota right now with this line. Looks like the rotation could be trying to take a little bit of an uptick again. I'd watch out for that, honestly, north of Copper Mountain. Again, you need to be in your safe spot if you're in Tigerville, Redfern, or Reno. Now, I don't think any of these are actually towns. But there is, like, Tigerville Road and Deerfield Road. There are people that live out here. That's my point. And a lot of these areas here where we have these, what look to be town names, again, they're just roads, but that's where a lot of the population centers in this warning are. Now, because this is such a rural area, unfortunately, there's likely not going to be sirens. The cell service also probably isn't great, so you may not have gotten the alert on your phone. So, again, if you know anybody out here, just send them the stream. If you know anybody in South Dakota, send them the stream because it's going to get messy. It is going to get sticky here for pretty much everybody in South Dakota over the next couple of hours, potentially. At some point. And right now focused on Pennington County, but I mean, we're also watching the entirety of western South Dakota because of damaging winds with this line of storms. Also, again, very large hail here with the Edgemont portion of this storm. I don't know why it's only warned for quarter-sized hail. It's past Edgemont now, but Hot Springs, look out for this. Okay, so a massive severe thunderstorm warning just issued for portions of southwestern Meade, Custer, southeastern Lawrence, northern Fall River, and southwestern Pennington counties in South Dakota. 70-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-sized hail, tornado possible. That does include Rapid City. If you have a NOAA weather radio and that's going off right now, this is why, alright? We need you to get indoors and away from windows immediately if you're in Rapid City, South Dakota. We're talking about the possibility of 70-mile-an-hour winds, quarter-sized hail, and maybe even a tornado with this line of storms by the time it approaches you. So if you have any cars, pets outside, get them indoors now. If you're outside on a walk, get home as fast as you can. This storm is coming in hot. And, you know, you got 10 minutes, honestly, 10 to 15 minutes until things start to get a little bit nasty. So, maybe a little bit longer than that, but it's not going to be too long. Alrighty. So, again, watching northeastern Wyoming right now for the threat of some severe weather as well with this line. Mostly moving out of the state, though, at this point. Looks like some people's power already getting restored as well in the Newcastle region, so that's good. Good news. $15 likes and not even an hour in. That is pretty darn good for this channel. Again, if we could get to 30 likes, that would be amazing. It's a crazy goal, but I think it could happen. Morning storms may hit central Minnesota as well, but they don't appear strong. Yeah, this line of storms could be in this region eventually. But again, it would be tomorrow that we'd be worried about central Minnesota with this line, but Minnesota's got its own threat for today. And again, the tornado threat's even kind of the highest in like extreme southwestern Minnesota. Again, that's kind of where we have that 5% risk centered around Sioux Falls, Chamberlain, Platte, Mitchell, Madison, Brookings, Huron, Miller, Redfield, Watertown, Millbank, Redwood Falls, Wilmer, Marshall, Worthington. That whole region there. Yeah, anything is possible, but not everything is probable. No, if you look up further to the north, this will eventually make its way through central Minnesota. Wow. Again, look at all that hail there in the southern part of this line. If anything is possible, but some things aren't exactly probable. That's definitely very true. Yeah, that specific version of the sentence does not make sense, but... southwest of Hot Springs. Looks like rotation, or maybe set by winds. Let's see. Well, this is contamination, obviously. But if you're talking about this, perhaps. This looks like contamination too, honestly. It just looks like part of the leading edge. So again, we're talking Rapid City being in the path, or not just in the path, but being in this line of storms in maybe 20 minutes. In this rotation, I wouldn't worry about too much at this point. We want you all to stay in shelter just in case. Specifically in Tigerville, Redfern, and Reno once again. But it looks like for the most part things should be just fine. Again, damaging winds obviously occurred, but that does not mean a tornado occurred. I know a lot of times after damaging wind events, when people are under a tornado warning, they think a tornado just happened. That is not necessarily the case. Especially in this instance. This is a line of storms producing damaging winds, so that could be why you're seeing damage other than tornadoes. That didn't make a lot of sense. You know what I mean, though. New severe thunderstorm warning. It's an extension for our cell in Nebraska. Golf ball sized hail now. 60-mile-an-hour wind. So if you're in Atkinson, we need you to move indoors and away from windows immediately. Connor Croft centered in Atkinson, as well as in Stewart. Bring me with you. Again, this looks like a nasty hailstorm here. Bring your car inside. You got time if you're in Atkinson. You do. Bring your pets inside. Yeah, this rotation looks like it'll dissipate within the next 10 minutes, probably. I will say, Smith Mountain, north of Hill City, you could get hit with a massive burst of wind, though, like higher than, like stronger wind even than most of the other places that are going to get hit by this line. But, again, I'd also be watching Rapid City here within the next several minutes. Box Elder's not technically in this new severe thunderstorm warning, but it's not going to be too long until you get hit. Same thing with New Underwood, maybe an hour, tops. And that's if this line really slows down, so. Again, you're going to get hit at this point. It's a guarantee. 100% chance of rain is what your weather app should say at this point. Inflow contamination with that Nebraska cell, which tells me the inflow is strengthening. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to see rotation, or that we have ongoing rotation. By the way, apparently there was a 70-mile-an-hour gust estimate as well up further north. That just came in a little bit ago. It looks like near south of Sundance, southeast of Sundance with this line. So, again, that was around 18, 19 minutes ago. So back out towards New England again. This little cell here is very confusing. Now only warned for quarter-size hail, but over New Shoreman. It's not the cell that's confusing, it's the island. Can't believe they'd issue a severe warning for an island that small. I've never seen anything like that, really. That's Block Island. Alright, so new severe thunderstorm warning along the Kansas-Nebraska state line near McCook for Trenton and Culbertson. Quarter-sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. That is not max velocity. If you didn't tune into yesterday's stream, you won't know, but Sam did a goof, and now he can't change his name back. You're going to confuse so many people with that. If you're talking about the New England cell, Kevin, it was more organized just a little bit ago, but yeah. So anyway, again, if you're just not tuning in, make sure to like the stream. The goal for this stream is 30 likes. It's pretty crazy, but I think we can get it if we really try. Whoops. Yeah, but now everybody's gonna be like, is that max velocity? I mean, if you answer them, just make sure you answer them if I don't see their message for whatever reason, but yeah, it's fine. It's just gonna be confusing for a lot of people. Alrighty. Okay, that tornado warning no longer in effect. I know this is quite ironic since I was just talking about how we need to keep the stream going and how we need to get to 30 likes, so I'm thinking maybe we save that goal for next stream because unfortunately I'm going to have to go. But again, I will be live again if we do get any more tornado warnings, which we will, so I'll be live again in a little bit. I was kind of expecting the stream to be a little longer, but things are not quite as active as they could have been, which is good. But again, I imagine they will become a bit more active later, especially with supercells like this. Not this cell in particular, but supercells in this area like this in along the Nebraska, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa quad state region. I think that we could definitely see some more severe weather and tornadoes over the next couple of hours. So, again, I want to thank you all for watching the stream. Make sure to tune back in later whenever we have another tornado warning, or if we get any destructive severe warnings, I'll be here as well. So, again, thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. I didn't end the stream, dang it.